Hey everyone, Erin here, and I'm here today with my July wrap-up. I read 6 books in July, which is a huge step up from last month. If you know, I got into a huge reading slump last month, and I only read 3 books, so doubling that is quite good, and I'm pretty proud of myself for this month. The first book I read was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and this is my first book that I read by her, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the main characters were awesome and very easy to connect with. I think any avid reader connects to Kath at some personal level, whether it just be a little bit or a lot. I felt myself connecting with her quite a bit, and I just thought she was a great and really strong character. I, however, didn't really enjoy the fanfic in this book, which is kind of the whole point of the book and kind of the premise of the book. I didn't really enjoy it. It just was too similar to Harry Potter. She made a few Harry Potter references in the book, but that kind of like threw me off because the fanfic of Simon Snow and whatever is very similar to Harry Potter, and I feel like it's just kind of a knockoff of Harry Potter, and so I just couldn't get past it. Whenever I read the parts of the fanfic in here, I was just thinking of Harry and of Draco and of Hermione and Ron, and I just couldn't get those characters that I knew out of my mind. But at the end I did start to enjoy it a little bit more, and I started to kind of wonder about the characters and how she was going to end it. But at the beginning I just really couldn't get into it. But I did give this one 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm very excited to kind of pick up more books by her. The second book I read in July was City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. I read the first book, City of Bones, almost over a year ago, probably by now, and I didn't really enjoy it. I just couldn't really get into it. It took me a while to get through it. However, in this one, it really picked up for me, and I think it was mainly because I didn't like how the first book ended. I didn't like the twist, and I didn't kind of like that conflict that was between Clary and Jace. If I hadn't spoiled myself, I don't know if I would have liked this book quite as much. I did end up Googling and spoiling myself after the end of the first book to make sure that that conflict would be resolved, and so I knew it was going to be resolved in the third book, so it kind of helped me push through to get through it. Knowing what was going to happen in the third book, I kind of was able to push myself and not feel quite as awkward about reading it and just kind of ignore the little twist within it. So I did really enjoy it, and I'm very excited to continue this series, and I'm super excited about the TV show, and I'm very glad that I'm finally able to get into this series. It's a series that I've really wanted to like. I just didn't like the first one, but I'm very happy that this one kind of redeemed my faith in this series, and I'm very excited to continue it. I did give this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I have really high hopes for the rest of this series. The third book I read was Easy by Tamara Weber, and going to this book I didn't really know much about it. I had an idea of what it was, and I think I got 2 books confused, this one and another one. I really enjoy this one. I will say though that if you do have triggers or just kind of a trigger warning for people who haven't read this book yet, that it does have to deal with sexual violence and abuse and rape, and it kind of revolves around that. So if that is something triggering for you, to kind of avoid this book, because on the back of the book it's very bland, and it doesn't say anything about any of those topics within this book, and this book kind of wholly premises around that topic. I think I'm going to post a whole video about trigger warnings and ways to kind of talk about that on the cover, or whether it be on the back, for the author to do that so that people know, because this book can be quite shocking if you don't know it's coming, because like I said, it's not on the back, it doesn't have any kind of warnings. If you Google the book, I think on Goodreads it might say in the plot there, but on the book it says nothing about it, so kind of threw me off. It's just something that I think is really important that authors should disclose, but I will talk about that in a different video if I ever decide to post that. But I did really enjoy this one. I thought the author did an awesome job talking about this hard and heavy topic and kind of resolving the conflict and describing the character and what she was feeling and ways she overcame what had happened to her. I did really enjoy that, because that can be a really hard topic, and I've read a lot of books where the author does not deal with this topic, and the characters, they just don't really deal with that whole premise very well. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic book, and definitely was not what I was expecting, but it was great. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, and I do highly recommend it if this is something and kind of a topic that you don't mind reading about. The first book I read was City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, and I really enjoyed this one also. I loved it even more than the third book, so the series just keeps getting better and better for me. I'm very happy that the problem between Jace and Clary and the whole conflict between their relationship has been uncovered and the truth has come out, because thank God. But I did really enjoy it, and I'm so excited to continue this series. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, so for me, I think I rated the first book 3 out of 5 stars, then the second book 4 out of 5 stars, and this one 5 out of 5 stars. So the series just keeps getting better for me, and I'm super excited to continue this series at some point. I don't have the next books in the series, so I do have to buy those very soon so that I can finally complete the series. The 5th book I read in July was Specials by Scott Westerfield, and I read the first 2 books last month, which are the 2 books that got me into my reading slump. So I decided to pick this one up at the end of the month just in case it did the same as the first 2, which it kind of did. I was able to pull myself out of the reading slump quite easily, but I did not enjoy this book, I did not enjoy the series, and I've just come to the conclusion that I just do not like the series, and really there's not many redeeming qualities to it for me. I had hopes that this series would finally come together and have a good ending and just kind of go out with a bang, but it didn't. The characters were still super annoying. I hated Tally, the main character. I hated the secondary character, Shay. She was just awful too. Not as bad as Tally, but she was still awful. The love interests were just bad. Just the characters were just not my cup of tea. More if we got to see more of the rebel, because she, I don't want to spoil anything, but she kind of, works with the government, being a special, kind of says right there on the title, but I would have rather seen the whole rebel side of it and not her side, because she annoyed me so much, and you didn't really get any insight of how the conflict was resolved and how this kind of came about, the ending of becoming a pretty. It just, nothing came together. It just was not good. I did not enjoy it. The main thing that really got to me in this book was, again, going back to trigger warnings, the specials and the pretties, they used a kind of way to get adrenaline and to become icy, and bubbly is the words that they use in the book way too often, mind you. Like, every other word is icy and bubbly. It's so annoying. Their kind of way, and they are called cutters, and so they cut themselves to kind of feel this adrenaline and to feel icy and to kind of just be aware. So they cut themselves, and I do not like, there's so many other ways he could have written these characters to get that adrenaline than to cut themselves, because as a reader, the target audience, again, is young adults. I'm a little older, but for younger audiences, they might look up to this character. Me, I didn't like the series, so I didn't look up to the characters. But as someone who might really enjoy the series and look up to these characters and kind of feel with them on a personal level, and then they start cutting themselves, and it's their kind of way to feel icy and bubbly, and it's not seen as necessarily a negative thing. It maybe looks up to these characters, like I said, I don't like the message it's telling, and I just wish he would have used a different way to kind of portray getting their adrenaline that they need as a special or as a pretty. I could probably do a whole book review video of this series, but I don't have the motivation and drive to do it because I just don't care to talk about this series too much. But if you've read the series, maybe you'll know what I'm talking about, maybe you won't, but I did not like the whole point of them getting their adrenaline. I just didn't like the message it was portraying. So yes, I did not enjoy this book at all. I gave it graciously 3 out of 5 stars, being very nice. The 6th and final book I read in July was Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, and this is one that I've been wanting to read for a long time. I've read her Delirium series and I really enjoyed it, at least the first 2 books. But I was excited to read her contemporary book, and I did really enjoy this one also. I had a hard time at the beginning connecting with the character and the story, because for her, this one, she gets into an accident and she wakes up the next morning replaying the same day, and she does that 7 times, so I kind of had a hard time getting into it because it was kind of really repetitive at the beginning. But once it started to break off and kind of change a little bit, and the days started changing and the events and stuff, then it started to pick up for me and I started to really get into it. The main character annoyed me at the beginning. She was just not a very nice person, but she redeemed herself. It's kind of like a coming of age story, so she kind of just figures out her true self and she just becomes a better person at the end of the book. I had one huge problem with this book, and I hated how this book ended. Hated it so much. I finished it and I just stared at it and I was like, are you kidding me? No way. This is not how you are going to end this book right now. This is not okay. For me, I like to just have a straightforward ending, leaving nothing to the imagination. I don't want to sit here and read the last sentence and have to figure out for myself what happened. I just want to know, did she live? Did she die? Did something else happen? Just tell me what happened after she blacked out. I don't want any of this loopholes. Just give it to me straightforward. I know some people like that, to be able to use their imagination and to kind of guess where the characters go after and to kind of leave it open-ended, but I hate that. I just want to know what happened. So it just did not leave me on a good note. But I did enjoy the overall story, and if someone wants to write me up a just 200-word ending to this book and send it to me, and I'll pretend that Lauren Oliver wrote it, and then I'll just never think about it again and just give me that closure. Someone can do that, please. I did give this one 4 out of 5 stars. I probably would have given it 5 if it had a better ending. So these are the 6 books that I read in July, and they were very good overall except for one of them, so I'm very happy with my picks for this month, and it's really gotten me back into reading and out of my reading slump, so nothing more I could ask for. So I will leave all the Goodreads links to these books down below, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.